$7.99.
We all have to eat. You might as well find out where the best food is. From restaurant reviews to the fun of food from around the region to around the world. This is The Food Show with Andew Coppolino, brought to you by Household China and Gifts. Now here's your host, Andew Coppolino, on 570 News.
Well, yes, that is the chicken dance, and there's been something of a chicken dance going on recently in the region, and I wanted to get to the bottom of it. Barnyard chickens recently got, plucked and fried when the city of Waterloo said no to urban chickens. I don't know if you can hear them in the background there. The question that I had is why, and I've got somebody that knows quite a bit about chickens and his backyard, and that is Doug. We're going to leave him as Doug. He wishes to remain somewhat anonymous. He owns poultry in his backyard. Hello. And greetings to, that is Ricky, I believe.
This is Ricky. Ricky's two sisters are with us here, too. We got Guinness and Stella as well.
So these are beer-inspired birds, I guess, are they?
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Okay. Well, that's fitting somehow. Nothing like chicken wings and a beer.
Oh, absolutely. And
or is that in bad taste? Because these aren't pets, right?
I like to say they're all, I mean, people ask us, do we have chickens? Are they pets? Are they for the eggs? Are they for meat? The answer is all three.
Okay, so what got you started with this? How did this come about?
So 2 years ago, my wife and I went to a wedding in New Brunswick, and we stayed at a little bed and breakfast just slightly out of town, not far, and they had chickens in the backyard. And so in the morning, this lady who was our host created just these incredible egg dishes with these ridiculously fresh eggs, and we'd sit there on her little porch and watch, her 10 little chickens run around in a circle and eat their eggs.
Right.
And I thought this was pretty cool, so I was joking with my wife that, we have to do this back home. We have to get chickens. And so we kind of let it go for a year. And then last year I discovered that, in fact, there are chickens in Kitchener-Waterloo in people's backyards. Obviously, it's been in the news, and a bunch of cities are allowing it, and it's not that big a deal.
Right.
So I sweet-talked my wife into it, and then we got chickens.
So you have a coop, and you've got them all set up in good living arrangements?
We've got a coop. My wife built what's known as a chicken tractor. It's a little mobile coop you can move around the yard. She's pretty handy, so she was pretty excited about the chance to build that.
I'm really surprised at how well behaved because this is radio, we can't see it, but Doug's got Ricky sitting in his lap, and she's pecking away at some special treats that you've got for her, and she's very well behaved.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, and obviously, it was in the paper and the news, and people try to, it's just not a big deal. I mean, it's a pet like any other. They weigh about 6 pounds, and they cause all the trouble that you can get from a 6-pound dog or a 6-pound cat or a 6-pound, pigeon.
However, they're more contained than dogs.
Awful lot more contained.
Yeah. So, what are the benefits, though? Tell me, what do you get out of this?
Number one is fresh eggs, like they were talking about in the segment before. There's nothing like fresh eggs. I mean, we tried to do a blind taste test when we first got them last year between some store-bought eggs and some backyard eggs, and we couldn't even get to the point of the test because as soon as you cracked them into the pan, the backyard fresh egg, it stood up taller. It was a brighter yolk. You couldn't do a blind taste test.
An egg that was just hours old.
This egg was about 45 minutes old.
Amazing. Yeah.
We cracked it open, and the flavor's a lot better, and it cooks up a lot better too. Like the whites are a lot easier to whip into a meringue, and it's a superior egg. The shells are a little bit thicker. When you crack the egg, it's easier to keep the yolk in one piece. It doesn't kind of break apart on you.
Well, what other benefits are there? Is there something? I mean, obviously you've got to do something with the waste product, but that could be a fertilizer, I would guess.
Yes, that goes straight into our compost bin. Yeah. So every morning we brush out their coop, and then we kind of rake up the area where we had the chicken tractor the day before. Goes straight into the compost, and chicken poop is very high in nitrogen, so it actually makes for an exceptional organic fertilizer. Our compost is fantastic.
And are there sort of more philosophical benefits, do you think? I'm thinking of kids being able to see some realities of where food comes from with the backyard chicken.
Yeah, I like, I don't have kids of my own, but I've got my nieces, and, obviously the neighbors have got kids. And to give them an idea of where food really comes from. Eggs don't come from the grocery store. They come from a chicken. And, a happy chicken's going to lay happy eggs. Not to be too philosophical about it.
Right.
It's not that magical a process. And certainly, I do like the idea of a cruelty-free egg. I mean, there's a lot of definitions for eggs. If you go on the internet, there's free-range eggs and free-run eggs and organic eggs and all sorts of things. And I'm not fussy on the exact definitions, but our chickens are treated well. They get to act like chickens. They got room to run around. They can scratch in the dirt. They eat real food. Feed them kitchen scraps.
What about the detractors? What are they saying about it? Well, how did this get nixed at the council level? In your belief?
Well, I mean, very admittedly, when you come to your average city dweller and you say, I want to have chickens, I mean, the first instinct is going to be, you're nuts. No, it's crazy. Put them on the farm. A lot of people have had experiences with farm chickens. The difference I like to tell people is, I mean, it's the difference between, your neighbor having 2 dogs and your neighbor having 20,000 dogs. Mm-hmm. A large-scale chicken farm will have 70,000 chickens. Even a small-scale farmer will have, 20, 50, 100.
Right.
3 chickens, just in sheer volume, is an awful lot less of everything.
Yeah.
So it's just not that.
Do they
deal.
point to worries about noise? I mean, I hear these beautiful little cooing sounds that she's making, and I don't see that as a big factor. When the 3 of them are together out in the backyard, are they sort of strutting around and cackling or whatever hens do?
Yeah,
but it can't be too loud, can it? I mean,
no, I mean
the
noisiest bird noises in our backyard are the wild birds. I mean, she's actually making a lot more noise than usual right now because it's a little freaky being in the radio station and not being with her sisters.
Sitting beside 2 chefs.
Sitting beside 2 chefs or licking their chops. But I mean, the ducks and the wild birds in our backyard make a lot more noise.
Yeah.
Certainly, our dog makes a lot more noise.
What about unsavory creatures that might be attracted, or is that a sort of a misunderstanding?
I mean, it's a legitimate concern. I mean, anytime you put food in your backyard, you're running the risk of attracting. I mean, the big fear is rats.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly, if you were not a responsible person, and if you just left big piles of food sitting in your backyard, you're going to attract rats. But that's no different than big piles of dog food, or even if you've got a bird feeder.
What about the compost that we put out? I mean, it's got food scraps in our composters. If that's not done properly, it can be just as attractive. So I don't know. I'm having a tough time, I guess, seeing the rationale of the naysayers to urban chickens.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for the naysayers is it's fear of the unknown, and I can understand that. I can appreciate that. I think what we do have with the new Waterloo bylaw is they did give us a small opportunity in that existing chicken owners were grandfathered in and were allowed to keep their chickens. Our goal is that for the existing chicken owners, we're going to raise the best darn chickens we can and be the best darn neighbors we can. And in 2 years' time, when people see it's not a big deal and we've got a new council in place, potentially, we'll try again.
So do these birds eat a regular diet that other birds, or is this a better diet, the one that you put together for them?
I mean, it's a superior diet to what they'd get in a commercial farm. So we, like any other pet, we went to the pet store and bought a big bag of chicken food. But we supplement it. Well, they supplement it themselves by, as I say, we move their little coop around the yard, and so they're eating bugs and grubs and worms and all sorts of tasties. And also pretty much any kitchen scrap you can think of, anything that would normally go in your composter, you can put out for the chickens. So these guys love vegetables. They love fruit scraps. That she's nibbling away on some soup mix right now. And
she's quite content.
Seems very content, very happy. She's relaxed. She hasn't made a mess in my lap yet, so
very good.
I'll call that a win.
It doesn't seem to be such a big flap as I can, and I don't mean that in a yoking kind of way. I want to thank you, Doug, for bringing Ricky, Stella, and Guinness into the studio today and showing people, I think, that these are tame creatures that are probably more of a benefit than they are any kind of a problem in one's backyard.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Doug, his first name only, he wishes to remain somewhat anonymous, owns poultry in his backyard. For more information about backyard chickens, you can visit something like urbanchickens.net or the Facebook page that you can look for the Waterloo Hen Association. We need to take a break, but when we come back, I've ordered a veal parmesan sandwich, and you can hear it being prepared. You're listening to The Food Show on